This is another panel with some of the esteemed members of the streaming space and cinema. We have the next panel called Z5 Game Changers. Now, change has been a very important part of OTT for the last few years. The formats are changing, seasons are changing. We see changing viewer trends as well. A lot of that and more will be discussed in this panel, which is Let's Talk Change. And I would like to welcome on stage Senior Chair KV Sridhar, Global Chief Creative Officer, Nihilent, and founder HyperCollective, and along with him, our esteemed panelists as well. The director and producer who always gives us hope, the director of Ghoomer, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. R. Balki. Along with him, we also have the actress of Ghoomer, Saiyami Kher, the director of Haddi, Akshat, and Manish Kalra, Chief Business Officer, Z5. Manish is running a few minutes late, but we will be beginning with the panel. Manish is right there. We will be beginning with the panel in just a few minutes. A huge round of applause to all the panelists as they make their way to the stage. दो मिनट दे दीजिए. And please extend your applause as they make their way to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Let's Talk Change begins in a few seconds. All right. With that, another huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. R. Balki makes his way to the stage, and also our senior chair, Mr. KV Sridhar. Also Akshat Sharma. Huge round of applause for Akshat as well, as they make their way to the stage and begin the panel of tonight. On to you, Sridhar, sir.
Good evening. Though we have taken little time, I hope we will make it by really celebrating what makes the game changers what they are, and then what is making OTT as a game changer in the entire entertainment industry. A lot of changes have been happening, and then how these changes are affecting filmmakers, content creators, and also the platforms, the channels, and then the OTT platforms. So the production, the distribution, the consumption, and the context of consumption is also changed. You know, from going to theaters to watching on OTT, and actually making originals for only OTT, to post-releases coming on to OTT. So there are a lot of things which are happening, which are all very recent to the industry. And then the models of revenue has also been experimented. You know, whether it is subscription based, or whether it is advertising based, or pay for view. There are a lot of models. So it is been last 2 years, it's been power packed, and then the business is completely, overturned. And I think it's a constant state of evolution. And then the change has happened because of people like Z, and a lot of other channels, and then people like, these filmmakers, actors, and younger generation filmmakers. Not that I'm saying you're old.
Yeah, just wondering. Huh?
So as a veteran filmmaker, I mean, this change is very hard to grasp. And then you need to take a pause, grasp these changes, so that you can understand and then try and then create a future. And that's the reason why identifying the game changes of the industry and debating what made different parts of this industry change so differently, and what is the new things which technology can bring, and what are the new things which the consumers would ask for, and then what are the new things, new freedom which filmmakers will have to really tell stories. It's all, at the end of the day, is all about a beautiful story at the end, and a great piece of entertainment. All this business, is only for the industry, correct? When people watch, they like it, otherwise they switch from one OTT channel to another OTT channel. There is no loyalty of anything. There is loyalty only to the content. So therefore, first posing the first challenge of the business of OTT, correct? And I mean, like every brand and every business changes, every filmmaker changes, every content maker changes, and you guys have also changed from the way you are. And then you have content, which is super blockbuster content like RRR, you have got Gadar 2, and then you have got content, which is different, Chup, you have got, and then you have got small films like Prema Vimanam.
Right.
Correct? And then you have got different kind of content. Now you have got another piece which has been most talked about today is Haddi. I mean, you can't wait to see Nawazuddin, doing that kind of performance. So how do you guys manage and orchestrating your business to the next level, and how you are actually keeping the content actually become the king and then driving all that? Manish, you go first.
Sure. Thanks, Pops, and apologies for being late, guys. I will start with a very clear insight. We are not the orchestrator. It's the consumer who's the orchestrator. It's the content watchers who orchestrate what they want to watch and how they want to watch and where they want to watch. We're just enabling them by picking the right content. So we at Z5, we are a highly customer backwards platform. We look at insights, what will connect with them, how can we give them the content they're looking for. Only one brief which I give to the team. Look for real, relatable, and relevant stories. So I had RRR in my theme before RRR was born on the main screen, but it was real, relatable, and relevant stories which will connect with the audience. Now, how do we get across to that? What are those stories? And with so much competition coming in, like you said, we had to pick unique stories. Consumer kept getting evolved. They had not seen this kind of content, let's say, 3-4 years back. I'm sure our international players enabled the consumers a lot with the kind of content and the stories they got in. So we had to kind of take up the challenge and bring out stories which have slightly more evolved characters, a nuanced way of storytelling. The consumer became more intelligent, they became more demanding. So I think it's a plethora of variables. It is not X or Y or Z. It's about understanding your consumer, picking the right content, partnering with the right creators, ensuring that the right actors are doing justice to the roles, and obviously we are reaching out to the right consumer, spending where the marketing dollar should be, and at the same time managing the bottom line in a kind of a very constrained way. So it's been a good journey at Z5, and I think all of us together on this stage have contributed to it in a certain way, and I think we're all excited about how OTT has changed. Specifically for us, somehow we have focused on stories which are about changing the game. So while coming, I was just realizing that we have 3 movies on sex education in India. Chhatriwali, then your Helmet, and then Janhit Mein Jari. Then we have two movies which are very kind of breaking the clutter in terms of a transgender, Haddi, then a cross-dresser in Earth. We have movies on a girl having her menstrual cycles in Tamil Nadu, which actually got picked up by the Education Ministry to be portrayed in schools, because it was all about breaking that norm. There's the kind of a tradition that once you get your menstrual cycles, you're not sent to school. So it was about breaking that norm. So we picked up those subjects, obviously, because they are unique and they connected with the theme of game changers. But obviously, I think it's the consumer and we respect what they demand. So long answer to your question. Yeah.
I think there's some beautiful content which you have put, and you raised a very interesting one which talks about relevant content. Over the years, you see, every content is relevant to that generation, that decade. They don't vibe. Next generation won't vibe. I become a black and white content guy. My children hate that. So the relevance of the content and the context in which people are seeing the content is also changed. Not just watching on one, fixed time to a fixed screen to multiple screens. You could be watching a content on an aircraft or sitting in a car or a mobile phone. Your attention span is different, and then the context in which, so there is a certain kind of content which people choose depending on the kind of context in which they're consuming that content. They choose certain kind of things. You don't look at, you want something which is fast and entertaining when you are traveling. So you don't want to think so much. When you are sitting at home on a Sunday evening, you don't mind looking at content where you get involved and little more philosophical. So the context and then the content, in OTT becomes very important. Theater, only one, go whistle, correct, and then come back. So there is different kind of content where people have used to that. So Balki, my question to you as a director, and you have done mostly all theater now, everything is theater so far. So when you are creating the content, do you think that you should be thinking, ultimately where the consumers are going to see this, more on the theater or more on the OTT side? And then a lot of films which gets released, not in the theater, but last minute it gets released on the OTT platforms. Then the creators would have had, the writers and directors, it's a business decision somebody takes. But as a content creator at that time, you know that people are going to come to the theater. I made this film with an emotional journey, keeping a theater in mind. So suddenly that gets switched because of the business reasons to an OTT, which I said, the context changes. Do you think there will be an impact on the kind of films you write for each medium?
No. See, I think one thing is we all make films to tell a story. There are some stories which are relevant theatrically because it gives you a certain experience. Even that, it is all about what is playing at that point of time, what is the environment at that point of time, how much people are starved of certain kind of cinema. So a lot of other kind of cinemas work. So there are no rules and theories, though people try and make rules. Like, for example, all the films, almost a lot of my films are on Z5. Like starting from Chinikam is on Z5 right now. English for English is on Z5. Chup was is in Z5. Ghoomer now is going to be on Z5. Start in another 10 days. Now the thing is, I never did this for an OTT platform. But I think more people have seen, let's say, an English for English, a lot more people when it's on Z. I mean, a hell of a lot of people. Even Chup. I never did it as a thing. So I feel that sometimes the English means a lot of people went to the theatre, Chinikam, a lot of people went to the theatre, and yet they again are seeing enough, there are enough people, there are actually, strangely for a population of ours, very few people are going to the theatre. Even a smash hit film, the footfalls are, actually you'll be very surprised. Why it's so minimal. So therefore you still have so many people who still haven't seen anything. So I don't think it's about OTT versus theatre, it's about how many more people can see your film, any kind of film that you have. Like you say, so many people haven't seen Mission Impossible. Now, if Mission Impossible is on an OTT platform, a lot more people are going to see it. And Mission Impossible is not designed for OTT, but a lot more people will end up seeing it there. So to me, every platform adds audience, and that's how I look at it. And I think a platform like Z adds a lot more audience because it's spread a lot across all kind of strata. So I have never thought in my life that this is what I will do for an OTT platform or a thing. I just want to make a film. And of course, yes, if you're making a series, the only thing that is available to you are the platforms which are the best vehicles for a series, because you're telling a story after story. You want to get addicted. You can't run a series in a theater. So this is great. I think where the thing is always to just tell the story in the way you want to tell it. It's got nothing to do with I design it for something like that. No.
Fantastic. It's all about stories. And then the more it reaches the audience, the better it is. Yeah, correct. And then that brings me to Saiyami, to your... A lot of people are talking about Ghoomer, the role which you have portrayed, and how relevant that is to society. You know, as Manish was answering in the previous question, he said, you know, socially relevant, social issues, and then taking the cause of disability. I know you single-handedly carried that film, correct? But you know how difficult it was, and then have you thought of other things apart from the character, you know, which people now are making an interpretation that you have become a symbol to all the disabled people who wanted to achieve, and then they're going ahead and then achieving a source of inspiration to a lot of people in the society. Have you ever thought of that? And what are your thoughts on this socially relevant content?
So actually, for an actor, you know, you would die to do a role like this, a film like this. So the opportunity that I've gotten to play a part like this, I think anyone would die to do it. But I can go on and on about how special it is for me and how this role, it genuinely has taken blood, sweat and toil, and my entire heart has this project. So firstly, this was not your question, but I'm just very happy that it's coming out on Z5, I think on the 10th or in a few days. Like Balki sir was saying, it reaches more people, and that's why I guess you want your work to reach more people. With regards to how it probably inspired more people, which it did, and the examples that came to me left me speechless more often than not. We've shown it to a whole lot of para-athletes, we showed it to the para-cricket team, and it connected with them at a level where there was the captain of the para-cricket team who came to me and said that, you know, there was a thank you and then there was just lots of crying. So there were so many reactions like that which I feel words can't express. There was this one certain lady who came to me and said that she was having some eyesight issues. And means all of 40, 42, she said, I'd started having some eyesight issues and I happened to watch Ghoomer. And that evening she said that, you know, I was complaining about why me and why is this happening to me. And I saw the film and I said that, you know, my problems are much smaller and I can do much more if someone with one hand can do so much. So I think films inspire people. That's what films do. Films entertain people. But with regards to Ghoomer and Anina, my character, I don't think Balki sir ever saw it as she was a disabled person. She lost her hand. And that's what's so special about the way he treated the film, is there was no kind of sympathy, because it was about, okay, this has happened, move on, get along with life. And that's what actually connected with most of the para-athletes, that he made it so matter of fact. We have Ivanka, who plays a transgender, she's a transgender girl who's in the film as well, and it was all very matter of fact. So just the way he makes things so matter of fact, I think connected with a lot of people, and I hope it connects with a whole lot of more people when they watch it on Z5.
Absolutely.
But you know, Pops, I just want to add one thing. It's so funny. The very film is like the character of Anina. So we released in theaters, and at Z5, it's so ironic and so lovely at the end of it. It is, Gadar was Z's film, and Sunny was the actor in my previous film, and I'm a great friend of ours. We came 1 week after that, and we just thought, okay, nothing would be a tsunami like that. Like Gadar, we thought it would do well, but not like a tsunami it did. So actually it's a strange kind of a thing where we are saying something in the film and that's happening to us, you know. So you're saying that don't be kind of put off by anything, an accident that happens to you or something, if you're challenged with something, you can't, you know, sit and mope. So it's very strange. Z was the challenge through Gadar. And funnily enough today, like Anina, Z is going to take this film to a lot more people that could not see it because of the lack of availability of screens and because how he got smashed, because there was a tsunami of 2 films kind of happening at that time. It's fantastic how the world kind of...
I think we got lucky, Balki. Both with Gather and now with Ghoomer coming to Z5, I think it's
No, I'm so touched.
all our luck.
I mean, really was touched because I just feel that... in fact, I remember this when I said... and I told Sunny, I said, fantastic, yeah, Sunny, you kind of really... He said, yeah, thank you, Balki. I'm sorry, sorry. So it was a thank you and a sorry at the same time. So it's like that. So if we moped as a film itself, it reflects the character of the film. Now we are back. We wanted to reach a lot more people, regardless of what happened to us on the screen. And the love that we've got from the people who've seen it, I've never got it for any other film before this. That kind of love to the people who've seen it. But fewer people saw it than what we'd like to see because of the circumstance at that point of time. But now, hopefully, through Z, I feel this film will reach a lot more people.
Yeah, I think whoever watched Ghoomer loved it. Your performance, the direction. And I actually, the day it released, without realizing that what's going to happen, we were like very clear, we should get it on our platform because it's like breaking the norm about a challenged person who's kind of winning against all odds. So amazing story, amazing storytelling. And I think it's all about the reach of OTT also. The opportunity you don't get in limited screens in theaters because there are only so many screens. And once the theater guy looks at commercials, he just wants that one to fill in the seats, and that's about it. But for OTT, it's about you like reaching out to millions of users. I'm sure when it comes on our platform, we'll release figures with like so many million people have watched it, so many 100 million of minutes have been watched. So that's the power of OTT, like the flexibility, the reach, the choice that the consumer gets to make sitting at their home, whether they're in the car or at home or office, wherever they can find time, they're kind of getting entertained. So I think both ways, and I personally feel OTT has given a huge shot in the arm to entertainment industry in India. I mean, the kind of stories you could not tell on main screen cinema, you could not go on main screen TV, you can kind of tell on OTT. The actors are getting more chances, the stories are becoming more vivacious, more colored, more kind of layered for the consumer. So all that, and you must talk to Akshat, the research he did for Haddi. I'll leave it to him. What's your question for him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about, just to summarize what you said, and then add to that Paralympics, the participants this year, it made headlines. 100 medals we won, correct? More than 100 were. So the same thing, few years back, when we crossed 50 medals, it never made, it was a small column. So you can Ghoomer can take the credit for putting that right up to the top so that, it becomes, headlines today. That's the impact of, if you're saying fewer audience have seen, does not matter, the word of mouth, and then the way it is impacted and given confidence to many people. One thing which I told him when I saw his film, I've seen all his films before release, but I also say everything is very nice. If I don't like it, tell him that I don't like. This one, I said, I'm proud of you. Yep. So having said that, let's change the focus to Akshat, the young hero of the day today. And it's amazing the kind of reviews, the kind of, the trailer itself, makes you goosebumps. How did you get Nawaz to do such a character? And then how did you actually make somebody like him say that this is my life's best performance? And Haddi is really, really a gutsy portrayal of a very complex character. There are so many layers. How did you conceive, and what is that which makes that as a powerful content? I know that you come from Anurag School of Filmmaking. He made waves several years back, and then now it is your turn, you are making waves with this. And then how just as an young filmmaker, your take on how you made it and how your audience are responding to that?
Convincing Nawaz Bhai was probably slightly easier than it looks. I did have to chase him for a few months because that's the year COVID happened. It's 2020. So he was in Budana, I was in Mumbai. So it took me some time to chase him and get him into a room with me. But then we just had a script reading session. It wasn't even a narration, it was just a start to finish script reading that we had at his place. And luckily, fortunately, the moment we finished the script reading, he said yes. And he said that day, that yes, and till the release, he has been like a rock with this film. And like a majority of the portion of the success of Haddi, I think it goes to Nawaz Bhai and his portrayal of that character. Because, see, I as much as I'd like to champion about this cause, I am not an authority on this community or what they go through on a daily basis or what they have faced from the society, how they have been outcasted. We can only imagine. We can only research, read, or maybe talk to them. But they have experienced it. So I think the initial thought, which sort of became a bottom line for us while making the film, was one, try not to preach anything. We were not trying to take up a moral stand or put ourselves on a pedestal and say that this film is talking about this particular issue. No. What we wanted was that we can create a character which is a trans character, but through that character's journey, every single person who watches the film can connect on a certain level. And that was the fight that we had with ourselves, which was about not letting the third person perspective of this community's problem portray this community. Rather, he becomes one with the character. And that is why in the film, Harika is, in her mind, a female, right? Because that's what Harika wanted to be. She was not born like that. And that is where the thought sort of drove the filmmaking for us. And again, heavy conditions, a long journey, but then that day in 2020 and 7 September 2023, we were able to complete the journey. Like, it took us 3 years from this chair to this chair, and for everyone else to see the film. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think, it's showing the red signal there. We have exceeded the time. I mean, it's a wonderful discussion. Probably I would have continued hours, maybe change the setting to somewhere, we could have had some accessories, but nevertheless, it's a wonderful discussion. I think starting from what Manish said, it's all about relevance, it's all about socially relevant content, it's all about great stories. At the end of the day, business will flourish if you get the audience. Audience choose what they want, and then the platforms are there to give what audience say. And Balki reiterated that from a filmmaker perspective, that he wants his stories to be told to many people in the world, as many people as possible. And OTT is trying to give that platform to reach more people. And Saiyami, whether she knows it or not, she has inspired a generation, not only a generation, a different kind of population, not just in India, but across the world. I mean, with her true portrayal, if the portrayal, no story will be complete without actors performing it. It would remain in the bound script. It is actors who bring it to life. And then the way she has inspired people, and then the way she carried, I use the pun, but it is really, I mean it, that you carried it single-handedly, that film. If you see Ghoomer, you will know what that statement means single-handedly. You will understand that. And thanks, Asit, for sharing such a complex character. The kind of research and hard work goes into making every character come through. It's a characters who will be remembered forever in our head, not anything else. But the kind of work goes through that. And thanks to all these change makers who are actually setting the entertainment industry on fire and then giving us that evening, every night which we watch before going to bed, one film. We spend more time searching than actually watching the film. Correct? And then these are the guys who are producing that content. And then Z is the kind of platform which is bringing that. And on that happy note, I end this discussion and then thank everyone to participate. Thank you all for listening patiently.
Thanks, Pops. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our esteemed panelists. And of course, we'll gather them around for a photo op.